morning, everyone. Welcome to a brand new edition of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. We had a packed slate of NBA games last night. While it was only two, these two games were incredible last night. Starting right off the top in our first segment, we're going to take a look at the Oklahoma City Thunder going up against the Denver Nuggets. Two teams that went to absolute war last night, and the battle of game one went to the Denver Nuggets. And honestly, this was one of the best games I've seen in a long time. Two teams that are so evenly matched, two teams, two coaches. David Adelman continuing to prove why he's in the running for why he deserves to be the head coach for the Denver Nuggets after this season is over. And the Denver Nuggets playing at probably their best second half, their best half in their of the season so far. The Nuggets taking that one over the Thunder 121-119, thanks to an Aaron Gordon game winner, of course. Switching gears over to the other game, the Boston Celtics and the New York Knicks. The New York Knicks stealing one in Boston. Both of the road teams won last night. The New York Knicks walking into Boston, taking game one. The Celtics shooting really poorly in the second half. The Knicks coming back from 17 points down, and honestly, what was a landslide of a game going into overtime. This game was quick, fast, and in a hurry in that second half and that overtime as well. But is there some concerns for Boston? Do the Knicks have an opportunity to win this series? We're going to look at everything and preview and recap this game in its totality. Going over to the third segment, we're going to take a look at a series that is honestly has the potential to be the best series. If I said the Los Angeles Clippers and Denver Nuggets series was the best series of not only the playoffs this year, but one of the best series of all time, this can raise the bar from over that. The Minnesota Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors go to war tonight, and it is going to be one of the best series. I cannot wait to start talking about it. I cannot wait to start recapping it after tonight. But first, we got to preview it. This is Steph Curry. This is Anthony Edwards. This is two teams that do not like that. Honestly, haven't seen a whole lot of each other in the regular season. And Anthony Edwards has said that he's looking for Golden State. How is Golden State going to respond? Is Golden State going to be healthy? Is Steph Curry's thumb going to be healthy and ready to go for another long series? Because this is going to be another long series. We're going to preview that in our third segment. And then, of course, we're going to go over the game two between the Pacers and Cavs. How is Darius Garland going to be back in time? We'll have that series all previewed out in the fourth segment. And then we'll recap the show talking a little bit about Greg Popovich. And he had a little bit of Greg Popovich being promoted to team president due to some health scares throughout the regular season. That's the show today. But before I move into our first segment here, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show. So to ensure that your question gets read on air, ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your question at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But let's get right into it here. That game last night between the Oklahoma City Thunder and Denver Nuggets, I wish it wasn't the later game. I really wish it wasn't. It was a little past my bedtime, so I wasn't able to watch the second half of that one. The first half, a big reason why I did leave also, is the first half was pure domination by the Oklahoma City Thunder. Hitting wide open threes, getting to the basket, playing unbelievable defense. It was a showcase. It was an absolute showcase from the Oklahoma City Thunder. And it was Russell Westbrook's return to Oklahoma City, but honestly, in a game that was decided that looked like it was going to be decided pretty quick, OKC jumping up to a 12-point lead early on, and it just looked like they weren't going to look back after halftime. You did see a little bit of Jokic getting into the ear of the players in the halftime break, getting into the lineup, using his voice to get the team, to corral the team together. get some energy from the group. And whether that's because they just played in a long series against the Clippers, that definitely played a big role in it. Whether it's the team not playing with the energy that was required, whatever it might be, Jokic's voice sparked this team. Because in the second half, this team did not look. This was a different team. This second half Denver Nuggets team was possibly the best second. This was probably the best half that the Denver Nuggets have played all season long. Going up against a well-rested, ready to go Oklahoma City Thunder team that has had a lot of rest since their first round series, has played incredible basketball all season long. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander had a little bit of a down first round series. He shows up in game one, drops 33 points, 10 rebounds, 8 assists on you. Probably, I think it's his best performance of the playoffs so far in terms of stat-wise. And you take that shot and you go into Oklahoma City, you take that shot and you win that game. You throw another, you take a Hail Mary and throw one of your own. This was the Denver Nuggets. This Denver Nuggets team, if they show up like this consistently, can win the NBA Finals. Plain and simple. When you have a guy like Nikola Jokic, we have been waiting for you to show up since Mike Malone got fired. I've said it a couple times on this show. I've kind of hinted at it a couple times as well, but I haven't really said it. Nikola Jokic has not played at the peak level that we know Nikola Jokic can play at. He's been kind of I wouldn't say subdued, but his numbers have definitely taken a little bit of a drop off since Mike Malone was fired. Whether it's his usage rates, whether it's the scheme that that David Adelman is using now instead of Mike Malone, whatever it might be. Jokic showed up, and this is one of the best playoff performances of all time, easily. 42 points, 22 rebounds, 6 assists. A guy standing 6'11", 250, being able to move like that, being able to shoot the way he can, going 15 of 29 from the field, having 5 offensive rebounds. He did have 7 turnovers in this one, but when you use him the way you'd use him, like sometimes it happens. It comes with it. Usage rate, when your usage goes up, when you handle the ball more and more often, your turnovers might also go up. And this is one of those cases. If he can clean up that aspect of his game for the rest of the series, I think the Denver Nuggets are going to look even more. They're absolutely going to look even more. They're going to look scarier. Jokic played unbelievably, but I have to give credit where credit is due. This is the second playoff buzzer beater win, or buzzer beater, that Aaron Gordon has scored. When you have Chet Holmgren going to the line with 2 free throws, he goes 1 for 2 from the line, misses the second one. With under 8 seconds to play, you launch the ball up to the front court, up to Jamal Murray. Aaron Gordon sitting in the corner or on the side out. You don't need a 3. It's a 1-point game. Jamal Murray gets doubled. Aaron Gordon is the only outlet pass available. And he takes it, and he makes it. Aaron Gordon sitting by himself is able. I said it last series as well. I thought we saw Game 7 was his game, his X Factor game. And I said it yesterday. Aaron Gordon is going to be the X Factor in this series because when he can perform, when his 3-point shot gets going, this Denver Nuggets team is a different team. When Aaron Gordon can shoot from the outside, Jokic can purely rebound on the inside. And when Aaron Gordon can contest on rebounds as well. 7 offensive rebounds, 14 rebounds total, 22 points for Aaron Gordon. Shooting 3 for 6 from 3-point range. If he can do that, that is the X factor in this series. Because you're going to get production from Jokic. You're going to get production from Jamal Murray. Michael Porter Jr., we expect a little bit more than 2 points out of you, but it's okay. Bad games happen, and you did show up on the defensive end of the ball with a steal and a block. Continuing to play on as a facilitator, as a utility guy. That is Michael Porter Jr., but we do expect more offensively. It is what it is. Russell Westbrook playing at a high level, but Aaron Gordon is the X factor of this series. You know what you're going to get from the guys, from Jokic to Murray, all the way top down. But the one question mark that is very inconsistent, not very inconsistent, but that can pop off when you need him to, is Aaron Gordon. And Aaron Gordon showed up last night and showed out. If he can continue to play at that level, this Denver, he is the X factor in this series. The games, I don't see the Nuggets losing. It hasn't happened in these playoffs. But I don't know if this Nuggets team can lose with Aaron Gordon playing at this level. If Jokic can play at the level that he did, Jamal Murray went off for 21 points, 6 rebounds, 6 assists. A great performance out of him as well. But Aaron Gordon is the key piece to this team. Hands down. Offensively, rebounding, defensively, all around, he can do everything you need him to, and he can step up to those big moments. We remember, for example, the NBA Finals against I think it was against Miami. Well, they've only been to one NBA Finals, so it was absolutely against Miami. I think it was game 3 or game 4. He went off for 29 points in that game, and they blew out the Miami Heat. That's just a side of what Aaron Gordon can do. And if you forgot Game 7, go back to Game 7 when he went crazy in Game 7 as well for 22 points as well. In that one, when you see Aaron Gordon go for 20 plus, be afraid, because this Nuggets team is most likely 9 times out of 10 not losing. But yeah, on the other side, of course, SGA. If there is a player that needs to step up in game 2, it's probably Jalen Williams, I'd say. But even then, 5 for 20 from the field, 2 for 9 from three-point range. We expect a little bit more from Jalen Williams, and we know he can be a legitimate number 2 option for this Oklahoma City Thunder team. But game 2 will be must-win for this Oklahoma City team. Tomorrow night I'll have the preview for that in tomorrow's show as well. But game 2 is going to be must-win for this Oklahoma City team. Because if they go down 2-0 going back to Denver, do not be shocked if this... I won't say it's going to be a sweep. It's not going to be a sweep. But we saw Oklahoma City have some issues against the Memphis Grizzlies. In that game 3, when Ja Morant got hurt, before Ja Morant got hurt, the Oklahoma City Thunder were down by 30 in Memphis, but down by 30. 30. Game 4, no Ja Morant. Scottie Pippen Jr. goes off for 30. And you almost lose that. You squeak out a win by 2 points, closing out the series. Game 1, Game 2, you smoked them in Game 1. And Game 2 was a little bit closer. The Grizzlies bringing down to 9 points at one point. But obviously the Thunder just growing that lead back out to 17. And that was the end of that one. But this is not the Grizzlies. This is not the Rockets. This is a veteran Denver Nuggets team. This is an experienced championship-level team. Nikola Jokic is the best player on the planet. Jamal Murray is one of the clutchest playoff performers in the league. You still have a deep team with Russell Westbrook still on the team. You have an experienced Aaron Gordon who's continuing to be an X factor. You are a young Oklahoma City Thunder team. This is valuable experience. Game 1 is valuable experience. If you can come out and punch him in the mouth in Game 2 early on, you tried to do that in Game 1. But you can't take your foot off the gas against this team. This team is never out of it. As long as Nikola Jokic is on the floor, you have to play all 48 minutes to take out this Denver Nuggets team. And you have to do it 4 times. I believe before the season started, I said we were going to see Celtics Nuggets in the finals because I thought the Nuggets experience was going to stand out. Now, I have swayed back and forth. I've gone to the Lakers side. I've gone to the Clippers side. Now I'm kind of leaning on the Timberwolves side. I am kind of swaying in the wind a little bit. But the one thing that has stayed like an arrow going through a hurricane is the Denver Nuggets experience. Is Nikola Jokic is the best player in the league. and that the Denver Nuggets always have an opportunity, and whoever takes them out is going to be one of the best teams in the league and possibly going to win it all, going all the way to the NBA Finals. Whoever beats this Denver Nuggets team is most likely going to the NBA Finals. That's been my take on it since the start. I said the Clippers, and I think I'm gonna stick to that. We'll see how game 2 rolls around, but incredible game 1 from this team. But I'm gonna take a short break. Coming up next, we're gonna switch gears over to the other game last night in game 1 between the New York Knicks and Boston Celtics. Boston Celtics shooting, missing the most 3-pointers in NBA playoff history. Yeah. Finally, you live by 3, die by 3 method finally started biting them in the you-know-where. So we're going to talk a little bit about that series. We're going to discuss how the Knicks took the Celtics out, some concerns for the Knicks, and then we'll discuss everything, recap the whole game in general. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign.
I wanna be the greatest. Everybody on the fake shit. I look around and feel like everybody is the fakest. I make this every day and I'm impatient, hoping one day I blow up from the basement. Statement, the top is so vacant. I don't hear shit that I think is amazing. Waiting for my day when I'm playing sold out shows for 1,000 faces. Hey, give me that crown, get in my way and to be put down. It ain't your place, all this my town. If I want that shit, then I'll get it right now. I'm losing it, the noose it fits. I'm losing shit, a stupid myth. You choose to live or choose to dip. You choose to fight or lose your grip and lose a gift.
I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind? Please, Lord, give me a sign, a sign. I feel like I'm losing my mind. Is everybody in the world blind?
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to talk a little bit about the New York Knicks, climbing back from 17 points down in the second half, with midway through the third quarter, actually, coming back and stealing game 1 in Boston. And we're going to discuss everything about this game because there is a lot to discuss. How the Knicks pulled it off, concerns for the Celtics, and some overall health concerns about a key player for this Boston Celtics team moving forward in the series. But before I move any further, I'd like to remind you guys to please like and follow the show for more GSMC Sports Network content. Also, we get a number of questions from viewers that come in during the show, so to ensure that your question gets read on air, I ask that you use the tips and donations link at gsmcpodcast.net. This puts your questions at the top of the list so that I see it, and it also really helps out the show. Again, the link is gsmcpodcast.net for all your questions and comments. But getting right into it here, short break if I can't. My laptop does not. I'm going to be right back, guys. Just give me 2 seconds. I promise I'll be right back. Okay. I apologize for that. Whatever technical difficulties I just had on this laptop, think they're good to go. I'll make sure I'll take a look at it after the show. So I apologize for that. But back to where I was. We had a massive game 1 last night between. It wasn't as good as the Nuggets Thunder. Unfortunately, that one took the crown for game of the night last night. But this was also an overtime game. Probably also saying that I didn't like it because I was a Celtics fan and I had to watch it, but that is neither here nor there. We are going to discuss this game in totality. The New York Knicks, props to you guys. playing an unbelievable second half, giving the Celtics everything they can handle, coming back from 17 points down in stunning fashion, stunning the Boston Celtics. And it was all on the heels of Jalen Brunson and OG Anunoby. Two players, one of them at least, in OG Anunoby, that has not got a whole lot of recognition throughout the series. Did not get a lot of recognition in the preview as well from me. I apologize for that. This is a player that showed up and showed out on both sides of the ball, shooting 6 of 11 from three-point range, 10 of 20 from the field. Just an unbelievable game, and as a whole, and playing on both sides of the ball. Seriously, his defense on Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown was crucial in this one, and in the outcome and how this game played out. For Jalen Brunson, he finished with 29 points as well. Just a little bit less of not as efficient of a game as we expect from him. Only 9 of 23 from the field, but still shooting 5 of 9 from 3-point range. So he was efficient from the 3-point arc. But great game from him regardless. He just had, whether his ankle is still bothering him, whether it was the defense that Drew Holiday was playing on him, matching up late in that game. Drew Holiday was matching him up one-on-one, and it was a great performance in general from Jalen Brunson. But yeah, the Knicks coming back from 17 points down on this one and the team that needs to get more noise on this one is the Boston Celtics. Before I even bring anything up, the Boston Celtics shot pretty putrid last night. Like, I don't know how else to slice it other than that was one of the worst performances I've seen from the Boston Celtics in a long time. 45 missed three-pointers. NBA playoff record. Probably the worst shooting performance I've seen from a team in a long time, at least throughout the regular season. You see the shot is not falling in the second half. You continue to go after it late in the game. You keep trying to shoot the hero ball, trying to get yourself back in the game, while New York is continuing to go on their run. You just can't stop the bleeding. Jaylen Brown, 0 of 10 from 3-point range before the overtime, or 0 for 9 from 3-point range before overtime. You make your first 3-pointer in overtime. Jason Tatum, 7 of 23 from the field, 4 for 15 from 3. Really? Derek White, 5 of 16. He did hit a clutch 3-pointer that eventually forced the game into overtime. He did do that. But this is a Celtics team that we know can play better, can shoot better, can scheme better. And there is another point of concern I want to bring up. That I was having this argument with a couple of my buddies last night, and I kind of want to see what you guys think about it in the chat. Let me know what you guys think in the chat when I say this. There were 2 timeouts in Joe Mazzulla's pocket in overtime. With I think it was 14 seconds to go in the game. You get the ball, you're down by 3. You have 2 timeouts. Are you taking any of those timeouts throughout that span when you're down by 3 points, when your offense is stagnant, when your offense can't get anything going, when Karl-Anthony Towns and Josh Hart are going back and forth, dunking the ball over you? Or do you just let the clock run out? Because I can tell you what the Celtics did. But just thinking about it from a logistic standpoint, 14 seconds left, you're down by 3 points, your offense has been playing horrible in the second half, gave up a 17-point lead midway through the third quarter, forced the game into overtime. You got lucky you got forced into overtime because Jalen Brunson missed an easy floater that could have gone off, easy floater that we've seen him hit time and time again, just rimmed out this time. That could have won the game in regulation for the New York Knicks. You don't take a timeout. You let the clock run all the way down to 3 seconds when they intentionally foul you because the Knicks had a foul to give. And then you take a timeout when the clock's done. Oh, and Let me hear that again. Oh, you couldn't get the inbounds play. You had to take another timeout. And then on top of that, you used 2 timeouts on the same inbounds play. Well, not the same one because the Celtics, I believe it was, no, the Knicks had another foul to give. So I guess it was 2 inbound plays. But on the second inbound play, you throw a Hail Mary pass cross court. I believe it was Mikal Bridges. It was either Mikal Bridges or Josh Hart. Closes out on Jaylen Brown. All he does is put his hands on the ball, and the game's over. And I mean Josh Hart or Mikal Bridges. I can't remember who did it. It was one of the two. I believe it was Mikal Bridges. Going over just simply putting his hands on the ball to force a jump ball, and that's the end of the game. You don't even get a shot off. That is what I mean when I say it blows my mind that the Celtics do not take a timeout with under 14 seconds to play against one of the best defensive teams in the league. You let the clock run all the way down to 3 seconds. You give yourself barely an opportunity to shoot, to get a playoff, to get a shot off. You don't get a shot off. And then you have to sit there and lose by 3 points, shooting whatever you did, missing 45 3-pointers. Your best 3-point shooter was Peyton Pritchard off the bench. And I love Peyton Pritchard, but he is not supposed to be a primary scorer for this team. He is a 6th man of the year, but he's not a primary scorer. He should never be. So the Celtics have problems. On top of that, Kristaps Porzingis leaves the game and gets benched in the second half. Now, there are reports that he's sick at the moment. So hopefully he'll be okay quick enough. But we saw, without Kristaps Porzingis in, Karl Anthony Towns had a field day in the third quarter. In the fourth quarter as well. Had a field day on the offensive glass. Without Kristaps Porzingis, this is the same, or not exactly the same, but this is a similar situation to what the Minnesota Timberwolves put the Los Angeles Lakers through. Similar situation to what the Nuggets did to the Clippers. And we'll talk a little. Actually, that's a key point I missed earlier as well. Oh well. But rebounding is key in the playoffs. Offensive physicality wears on you throughout the playoffs. If you cannot get boards, Tatum had 16 boards. Derek White had 11 boards. That was nice to see. But Karl Anthony Towns also had 14 and 13 last night. Josh Hart had 14 and 11 last night. Mitch Robinson had 3.7 rebounds. Mikal Bridges had 8.6 rebounds. These are players that are getting key offensive rebounds. Well, I don't know if they're not all offensive rebounds, but they're all extra opportunities to get stops, stop momentum, get to the free throw line, get extra possessions to get shots up. And this is how you lose games in the playoffs. Without Kristaps Porzingis, I am very worried for this Celtics team. I think without Porzingis, this Knicks team can bring this series all the way up to 7 games. I really think so, because Karl Anthony Towns is going to have a field day. Al Horford cannot guard Karl Anthony Towns by himself. Plain and simple. Without Porzingis, Karl Anthony Towns is going to have a field day in the paint. Whether it's Towns, whether it's Mitchell Robinson, whoever it is. You need to have Porzingis is a key part to this team. And he's a big reason why the Celtics had success against the Dallas Mavericks in the finals. Without Porzingis, this team is in a world of trouble. So we're gonna continue to monitor that situation, because it is reported that he's just sick. And if he's just sick, he had a very bad first half. So if he's just sick, then we can let him off the hook. 0 points, 4 rebounds, 1 assist. 0 for 4 from the field. So we know he can play better. We know Kristaps Porzingis is one of the better big men in the league. And when he's healthy, he can be. But he has to be healthy. we'll monitor that situation as the playoffs continue to draw on. But major props to the New York Knicks walking into Boston in a series that a lot of people picked Boston to dominate. Myself included. I know. I picked them to dominate in 5 or 6 games. I didn't think it was going to go past 6 games. I didn't think it was going to go past 5 games. But the Knicks walk into Boston and pull off, honestly, stun Boston and have us rethinking everything that we saw. Whether it was an aberration that the Celtics shot as bad as they did or whether it was the defense. Mikal Bridges also, shout out to Mikal Bridges, playing 51 minutes last night. Playing like a true Iron Man, truly playing like one of the best two-way players in the league. One of the most reliable players in the league. He only had 8 points in this one, but to play the way he did, have 3 steals, he was all over the place, and he was a big reason why the Knicks pulled off this win and pulled off this comeback in general. So major props to this New York Knicks team, and we know they're going to continue to play. They're going to grow. This game is only going to grow their confidence. New York Knicks fans will be ready to go in New York because they have now seen that this Knicks team can win a game in Boston. Boston, you better win game 2. Because if you don't win game 2, you're in a world of trouble in New York. They are an experienced team. The Celtics are an experienced team. They have a lot of experience. They're NBA champions. But you're going into New York, one of the most hostile environments in basketball. The Pistons pulled off 2 wins there. Can you do the same? I think if the Knicks also won all 3 games in Detroit. So I'm not honestly that shocked that they won in Boston. They're one of the most versatile teams on the road. They proved that against Detroit. They proved that last night against Boston. But Boston needs to figure out a new scheme, and quickly. This might come down to the coaching of Joe Mazzulla down the stretch here. Because they know the Celtics have the talent, but can they be schematically put in the right place to succeed? That's the question. But I'm going to take another short break. Coming up next, I'm going to preview one of the probably the best playoff series of the playoffs in general. I don't think we're going to get a better playoff series than what's coming up between the Minnesota Timberwolves and Golden State Warriors. 2 teams that don't have a lot of experience seeing each other, but 2 teams that emulate each other very well. Anthony Edwards, honestly, the more I see him, the more he reminds me of a younger version of a Steph Curry back in the day. Getting the title of Legend Killer, taking out Kevin Durant last year, taking out Nikola Jokic in the Denver Nuggets last year, taking out LeBron James this year, now going after Steph Curry right now. I'm going to preview everything to know about that series and game 1 later tonight in general. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
Looking for your daily fix of sports talk without having to pay for it? GSMC Sports Network is available on YouTube. Just search GSMC Sports Network. Get your fix of daily sports talk shows on YouTube, absolutely free. NFL, college football, NBA, MLB, MMA, UFC, fantasy football, and so much more. GSMC Sports Network has shows running all day long, with new sports shows starting every 2 hours. Just like on your favorite cable sports channel, except GSMC Sports Network is absolutely free. Just search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube to catch one of your new favorite shows, like the GSMC College Football Podcast, Chip Shot Football Podcast, Hoops and Heels Women's Sports Podcast, GSMC Basketball Podcast, and so many more. Check it out for yourself. GSMC Sports Network, now available on YouTube absolutely free. Search GSMC Sports Network on YouTube right now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at the Minnesota Timberwolves going up against the Golden State Warriors in Game 1 tonight. Reading the title, this is going to be a war. This is going to be a series of 7 battles, and I promise, I'm willing to bet a lot of money that this series goes 7 games. This is how evenly matched these two teams are. There are two things. There is the Minnesota Timberwolves can exploit a couple things, and we'll talk about that. But these are two teams that emulate each other very well. Two well-balanced teams scoring the ball, shooting the ball. But in terms of physicality and strength, that is the one thing that the Minnesota Timberwolves can exploit. Before we get into that, let's talk a little bit about let's preview this. Let's seriously preview this before we get to the keys of the game. This is two series. One in Minnesota, the Minnesota Timberwolves just on the heels of shocking the NBA world in 5 games, taking out the Los Angeles Lakers. Not only in 5 games, taking them out in Los Angeles. A team that was predicted by many to go to the NBA Finals due to Luka Doncic and LeBron James play down the stretch. We thought that their offensive prowess would be too much, and Minnesota just completely shutting down that notion and bullying them on the glass, bullying them in every way possible. And then, of course, the Golden State Warriors, just on the heels of coming back or finishing out a 7-game series against the Houston Rockets, going up against 2 days of rest, now going up against Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is going to be one of the best series. This seriously, on paper, this is one of the best series. Steph Curry, Anthony Edwards, Jimmy Butler, and Julius Randle. Julius Randle having one of his best playoff series against the Lakers, had one of his best playoff seasons of his career. Easily his best playoff season of his career. You have Rudy Gobert just coming off of a 27-point, 24-rebound game. That he is going to be the X factor in this series, and we'll talk about that a little bit later. But this is a Minnesota Timberwolves team. This is Anthony Edwards that said time and time again, he is on the record saying, I want to face Golden State. I want to reach where Golden State is. I want to reach that boogeyman status. Because that's what Golden State is. They are the boogeyman of the Western Conference. No young team wants to face Golden State. Why? Because they have the boogeyman on their team. They have Steph Curry on their team. And Anthony Edwards, he has said it, and his game has emulated it. He's scratching the surface of being the next Steph Curry once Steph Curry decides to retire. Anthony Edwards is 23 years of age. We're going to see Anthony Edwards for the next 15 plus years, most likely. We have so much Anthony Edwards highlights to uncover over the next 15 years. He may go down as a better player than Steph Curry. And that's not a crazy thing to say. Simply, plain and simple. Steph Curry is 38 years of age, 37 or 38 right now. Let's say he's 37. It is 2025. He won his first championship in 2015. He won his first championship when he was 27 years of age. And we are now discussing the Minnesota Timberwolves possibly going to the finals when he is 23 years old. I'm not saying this is not crazy to say. Tatum went to his first finals in 22. He's now 26. So he went to his first finals when he was 23. Quick maths. It was either 23 or 24. So around the same level. And I think when I think of Anthony Edwards, I think him and Jason Tatum are around the same levels. But of course, this is the Western Conference. This is Anthony Edwards. This is Steph Curry. This is going to be a war between these two players. And if we're going to go down to the logistics of things, it's going to come down to Jimmy Butler. It's going to come down to Julius Randle on both sides. We know what we're going to get from the two main guys. How is Jimmy Butler going to play? How is Jimmy Butler going to play against his former team? A team that he has said before, if you guys remember, there are clips of it. Go back. I wish I could post the clips on here. I'm so sorry. But going back to 2023, no, I think it was before the season, before 2024 regular season. Jimmy Butler is on the record saying, back in the days of Chicago, skip a team. Back to the days of Philly, and now here in Miami. Do you know what that skip a team was? The Minnesota Timberwolves. A team that he hates. He does not ever want to think about it. He's on the record hating it, hating being there. His first day of minicamp there, he went up to everybody on the team and said, "You're bad, you're bad, you're bad, you're bad." I'm not saying exactly what he said because this is PG-13 airways. This is PG-13. We're not cursing on here. But you know what I'm trying to say. Went up to every single player down the line. Went to the front office, went to the coach, said, "I'm going to go on the B team. Go put me on the bench squad, put me against the starters, watch what's going to happen." And gave him all the business. That is what Jimmy Butler is. That's what Jimmy Butler did in his tenure. That was his first day of minicamp. And there are players on the record saying he did that. So Jimmy Butler does not like this team. He is going to be out for blood against this team. And he's going to be... I think it's going to be interesting to see what the Timberwolves do in this series. Because in last series, you put Jaden McDaniels on Luka Doncic and you put Julius Randle on LeBron James. And on top of that, you knew the ball was always going to go through Luka Doncic's hands. Now with the Warriors, you don't have one guy. You have two. You have Steph Curry. Say you put Jaden McDaniels on Steph Curry. Who's going to be on Jimmy Butler? Julius Randle. Rudy. Now you're not going to put Rudy Gobert on him. Who are you going to put Anthony Edwards on him? Anthony Edwards is a good two-way player. And I think he could give Jimmy Butler a little bit of trouble. It's better than Julius Randle for sure. But I don't know what you're planning to do because this team, Jimmy Butler might go off in this series. He could be the X factor offensively for the Golden State Warriors. Because how are they going to match up against him? You're going to have Jaden McDaniels on Steph Curry. There is no way you have Jaden McDaniels on Jimmy Butler because if Steph Curry's wide open, he's going to go off for 50. One of these two players is going to go off, if not both of them in this series. In probably separate games. Most likely separate games. But these two players are going to have field days. I think Houston tested Golden State's offense very well with their defense. Houston's defense is no joke. Houston's easily had the best defense in the playoffs. And they pushed the Warriors to 7 games, blowing them out twice. Not once. Game 5, they blew them out. Well, actually, 3 times they blew them out. Game 2, they blew them out in Houston. Game 5, they blew them out in Houston. And Game 6, they blew them out in Golden State. If you're the Minnesota Timberwolves, you attack the paint. You put Rudy Gobert on the block. You put Julius Randle. You tell Julius Randle to take the bull by the horns and go drive straight for the paint. Drive like you're O.J. Simpson running away from the cops. I don't know why that's the first thing that popped in my head, but that's the first thing that popped in my head. Take the bull by the horns, get to the hole, get to the basket. Get to the offensive block, get offensive rebounds, get defensive rebounds if you're both of those players. Because Draymond Green is going to be 2v1 on the block, and he's not going to be able to do both. This is going to be the same situation that Evan Mobley and Jared Allen put Bam Adebayo in for the Miami Heat. But I think offensively, Steph Curry and Jimmy Butler can pick up the slack. It's just going to be in terms of how. Does Steve Kerr decide to use Kevon Looney a little bit more? There's another center on that team. I can't remember his name. A young center. Oh, what's his name? Oh well. Do you decide to go with the double big lineup with Draymond Green and Looney on the floor together? I don't know what Steve Kerr is gonna have. He's gonna have his hands full in this one. But we know Steve Kerr is a championship level coach. He has multiple rings as a player, as a coach. He's been in the league for a decade plus. He'll be ready. He'll have his clipboard ready. He'll have his research done, and he will have this team ready to go in game 1. But this Warriors team is going to have their hands full. And I think I have to pick the Minnesota Timberwolves in 7 games in this series, just because of their youth, of their rest, and I think Steph Curry's injury could be a deciding factor in this series. But we'll have a little bit of more of an outlook in game 2. I'm predicting. Yeah, I mean, is this series? This is a 6-7 matchup. Yeah, this series starts off in Minnesota. I think I have to go with Minnesota in this one. In game 1, Minnesota by a small margin, by a 4-point margin. I think the rest is going to be a key factor in game 1. So I'm going with Minnesota to squeak out a win. I'm going to take a short break. When we come back, we're going to switch gears over to the Cleveland Cavaliers Indiana Pacers series. Kenny Atkinson just recently winning the Coach of the Year award. We're going to recap that, recap game 1 or preview game 2. And yeah, you're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere.
For the best and latest podcasts available anywhere, go to the podcast app on your cell phone and type in GSMC to access free content-rich podcasts on health and wellness, book reviews, sports, entertainment, relationships, social media, movies, technology, finance, and even weird news. Subscribe and download the GSMC Podcast Network's family of shows, available everywhere podcasts are found.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our next segment here, we're going to take a look at the Cleveland Cavaliers. Head coach Kenny Atkinson winning the Coach of the Year award last night. Props to him, one of the younger head coaches in the league that deserves a lot of props, a lot of credit for his play, for his coaching down the stretch here over the last few years. We remember him from his days in Brooklyn a couple of years ago. I think it was last year, being the assistant coach with the Golden State Warriors with Steve Kerr, and now recently getting the head coaching job in Cleveland last year, and has just brought this team and has coached this team in ways that we didn't think the Cleveland Cavaliers could be coached, bringing them success that we didn't know they could have. We always knew they had Donovan Mitchell. We knew they had a young core group of guys, and we knew they needed a locker room face, a guy to put a culture there in Cleveland. Their culture was already there, but they had a base with their players, but it needed to be grown. And that's what Kenny Atkinson has really done. Put these guys in position to win, and ultimately has gotten this team the number 2 overall record in the NBA and the number 1 record in the Eastern Conference. So major props to the Cleveland Cavaliers. Major props to Kenny Atkinson. We wish him nothing but the best moving forward with his time in Cleveland. Going to previewing game 2 now. As much as I love Kenny Atkinson, we have to get to the meat and potatoes of this segment, of why we're talking about this. This is about Cleveland. This is about Indiana. This is about two teams that match up with each other so well, two teams that emulate each other. The depth of the Indiana Pacers going up against the depth of the Cleveland Cavaliers. The Indiana Pacers, as a Celtics fan, it's hearing it now. I've read a lot about this over the last few days. It seems like I'm the Celtics organization and Celtics fan in general. We were the only ones that knew how good Indiana was. I don't know if it's just us. I don't know what's going on. But Indiana is one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. Outside of Cleveland and Boston, they are number 3, and they're not that far off from those top 2 seeds, I'd say. Plain and simple. You have to play them tough for 48 minutes. You can't get your foot off the gas for a minute, because this team can erase a lead in a blink. Their 3-point shooting is unbelievable. Their depth is unbelievable. You have 6-7 guys that can go for 10-plus points whenever they want. You have Tyrese Halliburton, who's playing, I'll say it, Magic Johnson-esque outside of his defense. I'm not saying Magic's defense. Ignore that. But think offensively. Think how he's able to facilitate the ball. Think how he's able to think how clutch Magic was. Think how clutch Tyrese Halliburton has been all playoffs long so far. Averaging a double-double these playoffs in terms of assists and points. He's one of the best young talents in the league, and he's showing that off right now. Their experience from last year, they're continuing to grow as a young core. They brought all their guys back from last year's Eastern Conference Finals team. They have an NBA champion in Pascal Siakam. This is an Indiana Pacers team that I picked to beat the Cleveland Cavaliers in 7 games. Not only did they win the regular season series 3-1, but in terms of everything that I brought up, they match up with the double big with Siakam and Miles Turner on the block. They match up with the star power with Tyrese Halliburton and Andrew Nembhard versus Garland and Donovan Mitchell. In general, this is an incredibly evenly matched series between 2 young coaches with Kenny Atkinson and Rick Carlisle. Rick Carlisle, a former coach of the year in his own right. These are 2 teams that are basically the same. Plain and simple, that there's no other way to slice it. These 2 teams are basically copies of one another. And each game is hard fought. Each game is close. Each game is going to be this is a series that's going to go 7 games easily. Pacers took game 1 in Cleveland. I expect Cleveland to win game 2. I expect Donovan Mitchell to take the bull by the horns and just probably go off for 30, if not 40 points in this one, because his production is going to be key in the Cleveland Cavaliers getting their offense going early on. The key factor, though, of course, in this one is Darius Garland. Darius Garland missing game 1 due to, I think it was ruled as a left toe hyperextension. Whatever that means, he needs to be back in game 2. Because this is a must-win game for the Cleveland Cavaliers. If you go down 2-0 going back to Indiana, I'm not saying you have no chance, but you need Darius. It would be much better if you if you split in Cleveland and then you're able to split in Indiana, making it a best-of-3 series, 2-2 back to Cleveland. That is the best case scenario right now for the Cleveland Cavaliers. So that's my take on it. They need Donovan Mitchell to take the lead early. They need to utilize the double big, but how are you going to utilize it when the other team literally has 2 bigs to go up against you, 2 skilled bigs? Siakam can mirror Evan Mobley as a skilled guy. Mobley's a little bit taller, but Siakam's more of a skilled, has better footwork than Mobley, I'd say. And then you have Miles Turner, who's taller than Jared Allen and probably bigger than Jared Allen as well. Miles Turner is one of the most underrated centers in the league easily. So I like the Pacers in this series just because I like their star players more. I'd be crazy to say that the Cleveland Cavaliers do not have a chance. I think it's a 50-50 coin toss in a way. I'm just picking skill, but I think Cleveland has a 50-50 shot in this one. It's literally can go either way. But Cleveland, this is a must-win game for Cleveland. You do not want to go down 2-0 going back to Indiana. That would be the worst thing that can happen to you, because if that happens, Indiana will not only be rocking, but the Pacers will continue to grow their confidence as a young team. And they will be out. When this is one of those teams that when they smell blood in the water, they know how to close games. They know how to close series. They did it against Milwaukee twice. They did it against Milwaukee coming back from 30-13 down in the first quarter. This is a team that you can't take your foot off the gas against. You have to be fully locked in, you have to be ready to go, and you have to be in the game. You have to keep your foot on the game. You have to keep your foot on the gas from start to finish. You cannot let up. You cannot relax for even a second, because the 3-point shooting on this team, the facilitating, the ball movement, the defense this team can play, the momentum swings that happen, that have happened with this team, the way they're able to go on 20-0 runs without a second thought. It's spectacular, and the Pacers have a bright future ahead of them. They're probably one true scorer away from being one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. One legitimate, reliable veteran scorer, I'd say, from being one of the best teams in the Eastern Conference. That's just my take on it. And game 2 is truly must win for this Cleveland Cavaliers squad. Kenny Atkinson will have he's just won Coach of the Year. He's going to need to scheme something beautiful up for this Cleveland Cavaliers squad. If the Cavs can win decisively, I think it would just rule better. It would make it better for their confidence. I think it would just be better for the morale and in general if they won this game decisively, because it would make it give themselves more of an opportunity to steal one in Indiana. That's just my take. But yeah, in game 2, I'm probably gonna have to. It's a must-win game for the Cavs. I have the Pacers in 7. I think the Pacers could steal this one as well, but I have to roll with Donovan Mitchell. I think his expertise, his veteran play style is going to shine through in this one. And I got the Cavs winning this one by 6 to 8 points. I don't think I can pick against the Cavs in this one. I would be crazy if I did. I would be nuts. I don't think I can. So I gotta pick the Cavs. But I'll have this series to recap on tomorrow's show as well. So we'll talk a little bit more about this series tomorrow. But I'm going to take one last short break. Coming up next, we're going to switch gears off of live basketball, actually, and switch gears over to something that happened over the weekend. Greg Popovich being promoted from coach, or leaving his coaching position and going up into the front office as officially the team president for the San Antonio Spurs. Major props to Greg Popovich after 29 years of coaching in the NBA. 29 brilliant years, one of the best coaches in NBA history. He will still have a big role with the San Antonio Spurs, but with the 2 health scares he's had throughout the regular season, it only makes sense that he stepped away from coaching the team and switched gears into a front office role with this team. It's more of a relaxed role for this team. But yeah, I'm going to take a short break, and when we come back, we can take a look at Greg Popovich and the San Antonio Spurs. You're watching the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. Don't go anywhere. Hello, everyone. Welcome back to the GSMC Basketball Podcast, brought to you by the GSMC Sports Network. As always, I'm your host, Mehrob Fatemi. Getting into our last segment of the show here, actually, we're going to talk a little bit about Greg Popovich. After 29 years, legendary head coach Greg Popovich moves up to team president in San Antonio. 29, one of the best NBA coaches in NBA history, easily, moves up to the head team president. After 2 health scares, he had not 1 but 2 heart attacks. I believe he had 1 heart attack, and I believe he also had a mild stroke, unfortunately. So Greg Popovich, obviously getting older, needing to take time off. Not needing to take time off, but just needs to relax, get ready because he's just getting older. It's just part of getting older, and unfortunately, the mind and the body, he just needs a less stressful position. Especially as a coach, you have one of the most stressful positions on the court. Regardless of what people say, the coaches play a massive role in what players do on the court, in what happens. They put a lot of time, a lot of effort into schemes, into getting your guys right, into practices, a lot of time, a lot of mental stress, a lot of effort in general. So, just a moment to look back on Greg Popovich's legacy as a multi-time champion, and we wish him nothing but the best as he moves up to team president with the San Antonio Spurs. But the San Antonio Spurs are also hiring their assistant coach, Mitch Johnson, as the franchise's next head coach. Just a little backstory on Mitch Johnson. He's been with the team for over a decade now, and he was labeled as the interim coach in November. And while the San Antonio Spurs had didn't have the best season as what many expected, they did deal with a lot of injuries. They did bring in De'Aaron Fox. They had to deal with Victor Wembanyama. They had to deal with Fox getting injured. They had to deal with Wembanyama going out, leaving the season with blood clots. You had to deal with you had Stephen Castle as the rookie of the year as well. You had goods and bads. There were a lot of positives that happened in the regular season. There were a lot of negatives, unfortunate events that happened in the regular season. But if we do want to look at a couple of things. One, this San Antonio Spurs team has a lot of youth, have a lot of potential, and have the potential to be great for a long time. I'm serious when I say great. I cannot stress it enough. You have De'Aaron Fox, who's one of the best young point guards in the league, just entering his prime. You have Victor Wembanyama, who has the label of the alien, one of the best big men in basketball, one of the best young big men in basketball. You have Stephen Castle, who just won Rookie of the Year, who's a young star freshman point guard for the team. You can start running him at the 1. You can run Devin Vassell as the shooting guard, and then you run Wembanyama either the center position or the power forward, one of the two. So that's 3 spots right there. Just rookies and young star players. I didn't even say De'Aaron Fox. Put Fox put Fox at the point guard, put Vassell at the shooting guard, and then put Stephen Castle at the small forward. I don't know why I forgot about De'Aaron Fox. And then put, of course, Wembanyama at 4 or 5. That's just 4 guys of just young players, of young star players that I just mentioned. And then did I mention that they have a top 5 pick in the NBA draft this year? It's not labeled yet, but they're in the NBA lottery pick. And they have one of the top 5 odds in getting the number 1 overall pick in the NBA draft. If that happens, if they're able to draft Cooper Flagg with this team, I would bet a lot of dollary dues that this Spurs team is going to the NBA playoffs next year. And under a young head coach in Mitch Johnson, I would not be shocked if Mitch Johnson won the NBA Coach of the Year award next year, if this all transpires. This is a young, talented, potential to be great for years to come, especially if they get Cooper Flagg or whoever they draft in the draft. This is one of the best young teams in the league, and they have a lot of potential, and they're going to be around for a while. So, Greg Popovich, it's up to you to draft players. Mitch Johnson, it's going to be up to you to coach these players, get these guys ready to go, put them in positions to win, put them in positions to succeed. And yeah, I think they have a lot of pieces as well on their bench that they can use as trade assets if they want to trade for a veteran. They already have Chris Paul on the team, and Chris Paul is a great veteran point guard. He will be great. He's a great fit for this team. But say you bring in a Kevin Durant who's had some noise about wanting to join San Antonio, possibly San Antonio being a dark horse team for him to join. Say you bring in a Giannis. Giannis's name has been tied with the Spurs, with Wembanyama. Say you bring in there are a slew of players you can bring in if you'd like. And there are also a slew of teams that are potential to be playoff contending teams next year. Absolutely. Let's just go down the list quickly. Orlando, you have Detroit in the Eastern Conference. You have you could say Memphis as well. You could say there are a lot of teams that are looking to trade some players. But if you can get your hands on a Kevin Durant, if you decide to go with that veteran route, go that way. If you want to go with the young draft pick route and continue to grow their team from the ground up, go that way. If you want to go both, do that. The Spurs have a lot of options here. And Greg Popovich, with his experience, will get this team in the position to win. This team will most likely win a championship in the next 5 years. Is not crazy to say. Legitimately, probably closer to 7 to 8 years. But this is one of the best teams in the East, and this is one of the best teams in the Western Conference. This is one of the best teams in general, period. And they will be around for a while. They're going to be around for years to come. But that's all I got for the show today. I know that last segment was a little drier than expected. Spurs just aren't in the playoffs. We're talking a lot about playoffs right now. This topic will be probably revisited in the offseason once the playoffs end, once we're looking at recapping the NBA season, previewing the next season, previewing what teams should be doing in the offseason, what players should go where, free agent market, all of that. This is going to be a topic to revisit for that. But yeah, we got to stay focused on the NBA playoffs because this is the best time of the year in terms of the NBA playoffs because yeah, this is the NBA playoffs. This is what we waited for 6-7 months throughout the regular season, and this is the second round. We got to be ready to go, and we got 2 more games lined up for you guys for today that are going to be unbelievable games. Starting out with the Pacers Cavs, that is going to be an unbelievable game 2, must-win game for the Cleveland Cavaliers, and then game 1 between watch every game of this series if you can, because this is going to be one of the best series of NBA history, I think. I'm not joking when I say that. This is going to be one of the best. On paper, this is one of the best series in NBA history between the Golden State Warriors and the Minnesota Timberwolves. Two of the best teams, 2 of the most talented, promising teams. The old head team and the Golden State Warriors, the young guys in the Minnesota Timberwolves. This is going to be one of the best series in NBA history, and I cannot wait to see it. Game 1 kicks off later tonight at 9:30. So if you guys have time, tune into that game because it will not disappoint. But thank you guys for watching. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast presented by the GSMC Sports Network. Your guys' support means a lot to us, so please remember to leave a positive review in the comments. It seriously means it makes a difference. More than you guys think. You guys are a big part of what we do on the show here. Let us know what we're doing well. Let us know what we can improve upon. Let us know what you guys want to hear more of. Let us know if you guys have any questions in general. In general, whatever you guys want to know, whatever you guys have to say, please let us know in the comments below. Everything is always greatly appreciated, and you guys are a big part of what we do here on the GSMC Sports Network. So, also, please remember for more content and updates, please follow us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, and Snapchat below. Thank you guys for tuning into the GSMC Basketball Podcast. This is your host, Mehrob Fatemi, signing off. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your days. Get ready for another packed NBA slate of basketball later tonight, and I'll be back same time at 9 a.m. to recap all those games and preview the next day's action. This is the host of the GSMC Basketball Podcast, signing off. Bye-bye.
Let's go. I wake up to a little bit of drool on my pillow, feel like it's gonna be a bad day. Yeah, I'm tired of shit, and the coffee ain't hit yet, damn it.